Yo, I'm Alex, and before I worked on 9 Lives, my cat platformer game which sucks, I worked on another cat game which doesn't suck as much. Why I made 2 cat games in a row, honestly, I don't know. But this is Street Cat. It's a survival game I made in the Godot game engine where you have to survive day by day on the streets as a stray cat called Ginger. This guy. It's heavily inspired by the game 60 Seconds, and I mean heavily inspired, to the point where I basically just robbed the entire gameplay loop. Although ironically enough, 60 Seconds has more cats than my game does. The story is that Ginger is a cat that was bought as a Christmas present by a family who didn't really want him all that much. So after a few weeks, they abandoned him on the streets. And now you as the player have to help him survive day by day, fighting off infection, starvation, the harsh elements, and anything else that might want to maim or eat him. You'll get a different scenario every day via this little piece of paper, and you have to make a decision. Whatever you pick will have consequences, good and bad, so choose wisely. You'll also have to ration food and a bunch of other items that will help you survive. And there are a few different endings that you can get, but I won't spoil them in case you want to play it for yourself. This game had an interesting development. I originally started it because I saw 60 Seconds and I thought, well, this will be easy to make. I could do this in a week? But then it wasn't so easy. The idea's conception came about on the 10th of October when I was at work on my lunch break, trying to come up with a game that I could realistically start and finish given my current skill level. Because at that point I had never made a game, finished it and released it. Apart from that one, we don't talk about that one. So after work I started work on the game and I kept working on it until around sometime in November when I decided I wanted to make a YouTube channel. So I abandoned it for a while and the platformer video was the result of that. Since then though, I've come back and I've been working on it slowly but surely and now we're here. One of the biggest problems I had immediately when making this game was that the entire game takes place in this one scene, and it was way harder to organise everything in one scene than I thought it'd be. Organising all the code was hard enough, I mean look how long it is, but all of the text and decisions and that kind of thing were an absolute nightmare. Originally I tried to do it completely within the Godot game engine and it just wasn't possible. But I kept trying things and eventually I found something that worked. You see, I did half a web development apprenticeship before I got fired, but during that time I used something called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation, and I thought it would be ideal for storing all this text. JSON is structured like this, like what you see on the screen here. I can use these keys to access the corresponding information easily, like the text that goes here on page 3 as well as all the different outcomes from decisions the player can make. And then I have a bunch of these objects, one for each different scenario. See, it's nice and organised. And this game is also the first game I ever made without pixel art, and it took me forever to make it look at least somewhat passable. I think it looks passable at least. I mean, I'm about as far from an artist as you can be, so I need you lot to tell me what you think of it. If you could rate my art in the comments, that'd be great. Normally I use pixel art because it's easier to animate, you just make it a bit janky and it doesn't really matter. But since there are no animations in this game, I thought, why not take the chance to flex my artistic muscles? And also, pixel art is just way easier to draw and to make at least look somewhat good. I almost went back to pixel art immediately because the original concept art looked like this. Yeah, not brilliant, but I sorted it out in the end and I think it looks good enough. The game is not done though, so unfortunately you can't play it yet. There are still some things I want to add, like sound effects, music, a bunch of little stuff like that. And I also want to add sort of like cutscenes to the game, something like Undertale's intro where it's basically a slideshow. And then I'll have one of those for the intro and one of them for each different ending. And I also need to work on adding more scenarios, so expect that in the next devlog. The game will be free on itch.io and I'll make a quick video when it's ready. Like the video, subscribe, see ya.